All right, buckle up, everybody. We're diving deep into the world of secret societies today. We've got a ton of sources to dig through, so let's get right to it. Our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to try to get a glimpse behind the curtain of some of history's most secretive groups.
It's interesting. Secret societies, they seem to tap into this really basic human need, the need to belong.
Yeah, I get that.
And then on top of that, there's the allure of hidden knowledge.
Right, like there's just something about a hidden world operating just below the surface. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's exciting. It's like, imagine, if you will, way back when, right? A bunch of hunter-gatherers
Oh, yeah.
huddled around a fire, whispering secrets that were vital to their survival.
Exactly. And think about those early societies, too. From ancient Egypt all the way to the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
Secrecy was key, not just to protect knowledge, but to maintain order in society.
So, like, there was a real purpose to it. Like, it wasn't just, for fun.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For instance, the cult of Osiris in ancient Egypt, it wasn't just about, worshiping a god.
Right.
It was a way to make sure the pharaoh stayed in power and that the transition to the afterlife went smoothly.
Right, because that was a pretty big deal back then.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what could happen if you didn't have a smooth transition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it gets even wilder when you look at some of the rituals. Take the Mithraic mysteries. Super popular with the Roman military. They had these underground temples and, get this, a whole bull slaying ceremony.
Oh, seriously, a whole bull. That's intense.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? These rituals, they weren't just for show. The cult of Mithras was hugely influential in the military and in politics, too.
Wow. I never knew that.
Yeah.
It's incredible how much power they held through these rituals.
Absolutely.
All right, so I want to talk about something that's always fascinated me. Symbols. They're like the secret language of secret societies,
Oh, totally.
packed with hidden messages, meanings. The Masonic square and compasses, for example, those are more than just tools, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Think of the square that symbolizes morality, staying on the straight and narrow path,
Oh, okay.
while the compass, that symbolizes boundaries, the ones we set for ourselves.
That's a good way to think about it. So it's all about balance.
Exactly. Finding that sweet spot between your work, your relationships, your personal growth. The compass symbolizes that balance. It's living a good life, living within your means, literally and figuratively.
I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, well, since we're talking symbols, what about the Rosicrucian Rose Cross? I've always been drawn to that one.
Oh, the Rose Cross is it's beautiful. So much symbolism. It represents the whole idea of transformation through hardship.
Ooh, I like that.
The cross represents the suffering of Christ, right? And the rose represents that unfolding spiritually.
Oh, okay, like blooming.
Exactly. The idea that even through pain, even through challenges, you can reach this higher understanding.
That's a really powerful image, like a metaphor for personal growth, facing those tough times to come out the other side.
Absolutely.
And speaking of transformative experiences, rituals, they play such a massive role in these groups, don't they?
Oh, huge.
I mean, it's got to be more than just going through the motions, right?
It shapes their whole way of thinking.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Think about the Masonic initiation ceremony.
Yeah.
It's not just shaking hands and wearing aprons. They go through a symbolic death and rebirth.
Yeah.
Shedding their old selves, embracing those values of the brotherhood.
Wow. It's almost like a brainwashing in a way.
It's not brainwashing. It's more like a powerful way to instill loyalty, creating that shared sense of purpose.
Yeah, I get that. So we've talked about how these ancient groups use secrecy and symbols to build their power and influence. But what about their impact on history? We've all heard those whispers about their involvement in major events, the Roman Empire's collapse, pivotal moments in American history. What's the reality there? Give it to me straight.
Well, you gotta be careful to separate the facts from the fiction. I mean, when it comes to the Roman Empire, it wasn't just one thing that brought it down.
Right.
There was a lot of internal struggle, external pressures. But some historians believe that groups like the Pythagorean Brotherhood, they might have played a role.
The Pythagoreans, wait, weren't they like all about math and philosophy?
Yeah.
How would they be involved in the collapse of an empire?
Right, but their whole belief system, it was about rational order, a harmonious society. So they tried to influence those in power, to put wise rulers in charge.
That's pretty clever.
Oh, yeah. It's fascinating to think about how their actions, even if they were small, how they might have shaped such a turbulent time.
So even way back then, these groups were trying to change the world. That's incredible. And what about the Renaissance? It seems like secret societies were, like, everywhere during that time.
What?
Art, science, intellectual thought. Were they really that influential?
The Renaissance was like a breeding ground for these groups, especially those obsessed with knowledge and spiritual enlightenment, you
Hmm.
know? The Rosicrucians, for instance, some people believe they really pushed the envelope in art and science, even in political thought.
It's like they created a space
Yeah.
for those bold new ideas to take root.
Exactly. They encourage people to question the status quo, and that always leads to progress, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so we've talked about groups, but what about the people in these societies? I mean, some pretty big names have been linked to them over the years,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Like the rumors about Leonardo da Vinci
Right.
and the Priory of Sion. That's a rabbit hole I could get lost
Oh,
in.
yeah. Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code that really put that theory on the map, you know?
Oh, for sure.
But whether the Priory of Sion actually existed and if Da Vinci was really a part of it, it's still up for debate. But can you imagine this this artistic genius, part of a secret society protecting the bloodline of Jesus?
That's that's a secret worth keeping. Okay, well, let's bring it back to America. We can't forget about Freemasonry. I mean, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Paul Revere, all Masons.
Yeah.
Their influence is all over the founding of this country.
Oh, absolutely. Those Masonic ideals, liberty, equality, self-governance, they're woven into the fabric of America. I mean, even look at the architecture of Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
or the Great Seal. Masonic symbols, they're everywhere.
It's true. It's true. It's a good reminder that these groups, they weren't just about secret handshakes and rituals, you know.
Right.
They were shaping the world. But let's be honest, we can't talk about secret societies without getting into the myths and legends, am I right?
Oh, totally.
So let's start with a big one. The Knights Templar and their lost treasure. What's the story there? Is there any truth to it?
Well, the Knights Templar, they were always kind of mysterious.
Oh, yeah.
Fierce warriors during the Crusades. They amassed this incredible wealth, right?
Yep.
But then, accusations of heresy, a dramatic downfall orchestrated by the King of France.
It's a real-life thriller.
It is. And their disappearance, coupled with those whispers of hidden wealth,
Yeah.
oh, it's fueled treasure hunts for centuries.
Okay, so are you saying there's no truth to it? No chests of gold hidden in some remote location?
Well, if you're looking for buried pirate booty, you might be disappointed. Historical records, they don't really back up the hidden treasure theory.
Oh, man.
The Templars, they were meticulous record keepers, and there's no mention of a secret stash in their archives.
Really? So all those stories, just stories. Bummer.
Pretty much.
All right, fine. No Templar treasure. But what about the Illuminati? I mean, they've become this pop culture phenomenon. They're blamed for everything. Celebrity gossip, global pandemics, you name it. But are they really this all-powerful, shadowy force controlling the world?
The original Bavarian Illuminati, founded in 1776, they were real. Their goal was to challenge authority, you know, promote Enlightenment ideals. But they were disbanded a few years later. So while some groups today might use the name, their goals are different. The idea of them as like this all-powerful, world-dominating force, that's more fiction than fact.
Okay, well, that's good to know. But it's kind of crazy that their name still holds so much power, even centuries later. It just goes to show there's this primal fear of unseen forces controlling our lives, you know.
I get it.
But secret societies, they're not just a Western thing, right?
Yeah.
They exist all over the world, each with their own unique history and influence. I mean, what about like the Chinese triads, for example? They've got a pretty intense reputation.
The triads, they've been around for centuries. They started as these resistance groups fighting against the Manchu dynasty, right?
Yeah.
But over time, they evolved. They became these powerful organizations with this complex hierarchy and a code of silence. They've got their fingers in all sorts of pies. Business, politics, even the entertainment industry.
Wow, from revolutionaries to power brokers, that's a serious glow up.
Yeah.
So they're a force to be reckoned with. What about South America? It seems like secret societies had a big role to play there too, didn't they?
Oh, South America's history is intertwined with secret societies. I mean, they've been involved in everything from preserving indigenous traditions to shaping political revolutions, you know.
Wow.
During the fight for independence from Spain, groups like the Freemasons and the Carbonari and Italian secret society, they had a huge impact. They were organizing resistance, you know, promoting those revolutionary ideals.
That's incredible. So these secret networks, they've really left their mark on the world. But are secret societies just a relic of the past? Or are they still active? Are they adapting, evolving?
Oh, they're definitely not just dusty history books. They're very much alive. They're adapting to the modern world. Take Freemasonry.
Yeah.
It still holds on to those traditional rituals and symbols,
Yeah.
but it's also becoming more and more inclusive and relevant to modern society.
You mean like opening up to people from different backgrounds?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of lodges are more welcoming now to people from all walks of life, and there's a big focus on charity, giving back to the community.
That's a really positive shift. But how do you think secret societies will handle a world that's becoming more and more transparent? Can they even keep their secrets in a digital age where everything's online, where everyone leaves a digital footprint?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Technology, it poses a real challenge to secrecy.
I bet.
I mean, digital footprints are hard to erase, and information, it spreads like wildfire online. But technology also presents opportunities. We're seeing things like virtual initiations, encrypted messaging,
Oh, wow.
online forums designed for secrecy.
So it's like a cat and mouse game between transparency and secrecy. They're constantly evolving
Yeah.
to protect those rituals and traditions.
Exactly. It might seem like an uphill battle, but the human desire for secrecy, for belonging, for something more than the everyday, that's powerful.
Yeah.
I think as long as those needs exist, secret societies, they'll find a way. They'll adapt. They'll thrive, even in a digital world.
That's a really good point. It makes me think about the Bilderberg Group. They're like one of the most talked about secret societies today, this annual meeting of global elites, super secretive. Doesn't that kind of secrecy just like fuel distrust and suspicion?
Oh, the Bilderberg Group. They're a perfect example of how secrecy can breed suspicion.
Yeah.
I mean, they attract these powerful figures from politics, business, media. But that lack of transparency, it's led to so many conspiracy theories. Some people, they think they're like a shadow government pulling the strings, while others believe they're just a networking group for the elite.
Yeah. But wouldn't being more open help to dispel some of those myths? Build trust. If they're really just discussing world issues, what's the harm in letting people know what they're talking about?
Transparency, it's a tough one for groups like the Bilderberg Group. They say that the Chatham House rule, it allows them to have more honest discussions.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, the secrecy, it just makes them seem like this powerful elite operating in the shadows, outside of public scrutiny.
I get that. It's a tough one. I mean, on the one hand, privacy, confidentiality, those are important, especially when you're talking about sensitive issues.
Right.
But on the other hand, that secrecy, it can easily be misinterpreted. It can fuel suspicion. It's like you have to find that perfect balance between maintaining that exclusivity and not seeming like you're hiding something,
Exactly. It's a tightrope walk. And it's a challenge that a lot of secret societies are facing right now.
So we've talked about rituals, influential figures, global reach, myths, legends, even modern day adaptations and the whole secrecy thing. But stepping back for a second, what is it about secret societies that keeps us so fascinated? Why are we still so drawn to these stories, these whispers of hidden knowledge, shadowy figures, powerful networks?
I think it's a lot of things. I mean, there's the thrill of the unknown, right? The allure of the forbidden, that desire to peek behind the curtain, see what's really going on.
I get that.
And it reflects our own need for connection, for belonging. Secret societies with their rituals, traditions, shared secrets, they tap into that primal human need to be a part of something bigger than ourselves.
I can see that. It's like they offer a sense of purpose and meaning in a world that can sometimes feel kind of chaotic, disconnected. And honestly, there's got to be a little bit of a rebellious streak in all of us, right?
Right.
That idea of challenging authority, questioning the status quo, that's got to resonate with people across cultures, across time.
Oh, absolutely. Secret societies, they often represent that rebellious spirit, challenging conventional wisdom, pushing those boundaries. And that's something that we find exciting, inspiring.
Yeah. It makes me think about how secret societies are portrayed in pop culture. I mean, they're everywhere. Books, movies, TV shows, video games. It's like we can't get enough of them. Why do you think that is?
Secret societies, they're a storyteller's dream. They offer this intrigue mystery and endless possibilities for dramatic conflict.
Right.
From Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code to the National Treasure movies, these stories tap into our fascination with hidden knowledge, with ancient conspiracies, with the idea that there are these powerful forces at work shaping our world.
Yeah. It's not just about the thrill of the chase, though, is it?
No.
These stories, they often explore, like, deeper themes, don't they?
Oh,
The
absolutely.
nature of truth,
Yeah.
the abuse of power,
Yeah.
the struggle between good and evil.
It's true. They make us confront these difficult questions about ourselves, about the world around us.
Right. And by exploring these themes through the lens of secret societies, it's like we can see them in a new light, free from the constraints of everyday reality, you know?
Absolutely. It allows us to confront our fears, explore our desires, question our assumptions about the world.
Yeah. So while we may never fully uncover the secrets of these shadowy groups, the exploration itself is valuable, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
It forces us to think critically, to engage with history and culture, to consider different perspectives on the world.
It does. And in a world where we're constantly bombarded with information, that ability to think critically, to discern truth from fiction, that's more important than ever.
Couldn't agree more. But let's talk about that idea of critical thinking for a second.
Mm.
How can we approach this topic of secret societies with a balanced perspective? How do we avoid falling into that trap of believing everything we read or dismissing everything as a conspiracy?
It's about finding that balance between curiosity and skepticism. Don't just accept everything you hear at face value, but don't dismiss it all out of hand either, you know?
Yeah.
Do your own research, consider different perspectives, and be wary of sources that rely on sensationalism or fear-mongering.
Right, right.
Look for evidence, look for logic, look
Yeah.
for reasoned arguments.
So it's like you got to be a detective,
Yeah.
following the trail of evidence,
Yeah.
piecing together the puzzle. Speaking of puzzles, let's talk about those rituals, those initiation ceremonies. They're often shrouded in so much secrecy. It just adds to the mystique, you know.
Totally.
Can you give us any insights into what these ceremonies entail, what purpose they serve?
Initiation ceremonies, they're fascinating. They're designed to be transformative experiences. They mark a passage
Right.
from one state of being to another, and they typically involve symbolism, ritualistic actions, and the sense of rebirth or renewal.
Oh, so it's like shedding that old self and
Yeah.
and embracing a new identity, right?
Exactly. And these ceremonies, they serve several purposes. They can strengthen group cohesion, they can instill shared values, they can create a sense of belonging and purpose, and they can test a candidate's commitment, their loyalty.
Wow, that's a lot to pack into one ceremony.
It is. It's a way of ensuring that only those who are truly dedicated are admitted to the inner circle, you know?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like a rite of passage,
Yeah.
a trial by fire
Yeah.
that bonds those initiates together.
Exactly. And while the specifics of those ceremonies, they vary widely, you know, depending on the society and its traditions,
Yeah.
there are some common themes, like the use of light and darkness. That often symbolizes the journey from ignorance to enlightenment.
Oh, wow.
Blindfolds, too. They might be used to represent the candidates, you know, their initial blindness, their gradual awakening to truth and knowledge.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a symbolic representation of the process of learning
Mhm.
and self-discovery. And what about those tools and symbols? Like the Masonic square and compasses, what role do they play in these ceremonies?
Symbols and tools, they're essential elements of a lot of initiation rituals. They often represent the values and principles of the society. They act as these visual reminders, you know, of the candidate's commitment to those ideals, like the Masonic square and compasses.
Yeah.
They represent morality and reason. They're presented to the candidate like as tools for navigating life's journey.
I like that. It's like they're given a tangible representation of the society's teachings,
Yeah.
a reminder of their new responsibilities, their obligations.
Exactly. And by engaging with those symbols and those tools in a ritualistic setting, the candidate internalizes their meaning and their significance. They make it a part of their own personal journey.
So these ceremonies are more than just, theatrical performances, aren't they?
Oh, way more.
They're carefully crafted experiences designed to shape the candidate's mindset, instill specific values, forge lasting bonds of loyalty and commitment.
That's right.
It's like a blend of psychology, symbolism, and tradition.
Exactly. And by understanding the purpose and the meaning behind those rituals, we can gain a deeper understanding of the motivations and the dynamics of secret societies themselves.
It's like we're peeling back those layers of the onion, revealing the inner workings of these enigmatic groups.
It is. And the more we learn, the more we realize that secret societies, they're not just about secrecy and exclusivity. They're about the human need for connection, for meaning, for purpose. They're a reflection of our deepest desires and anxieties, our fears, our aspirations.
Yeah, it's like a reminder that the study of secret societies is ultimately a study of ourselves, and that's what makes it so fascinating.
Absolutely. By exploring this world, we're exploring human nature, the forces that shape the world, the enduring search for knowledge, for meaning, for belonging.
Okay, well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from ancient rituals to modern adaptations, from shadowy figures to profound historical impacts. But I want to shift our focus now to a topic that's always kind of surrounded these groups, the idea of hidden power structures. Do these groups actually wield power in the world today? Or is that just a product of our overactive imaginations?
The idea of hidden power structures, that's a question that comes up a lot, doesn't it? And it's especially relevant when you're talking about secret societies.
Yeah, it is.
Do these groups have undue influence on governments, economies, global events?
Right.
Or are they just social clubs with elaborate rituals and a fondness for secrecy? The answer, like a lot of things in life, it's probably somewhere in between.
So it's not a simple yes or no then. It's more like a spectrum of influence, ranging from subtle networking,
Yeah.
shared ideologies,
Mhm.
to more overt attempts at manipulating events and policies.
Exactly. And figuring out the true extent of their influence. It's tough. You got to look at the historical context, individual motivations, organizational structures, the specific actions and outcomes that are attributed to these groups.
Right, right. It's
No.
like trying to solve a puzzle with some of the pieces missing. Sifting through evidence, connecting the dots, recognizing that some of those connections might be weaker than others.
It is, and while there's no denying that some secret societies have held power and influence, historically speaking.
Yeah.
Whether that influence still exists today, that's a matter of debate. It's an ongoing investigation.
So how do we as informed citizens approach this topic, critically? How do we separate fact from fiction?
Well, it comes down to asking the right questions, doesn't it?
Okay, what kind of questions?
Like, who are these members? What do they do? What positions do they hold in society? What are their goals? What are they trying to achieve? And most importantly, are their actions transparent? Are they accountable?
Right. So it's about following that trail of evidence, making connections, but being cautious of claims that are based on speculation or fear.
Exactly. And as we continue exploring this world, that critical mindset, it's going to be essential in helping us understand their true influence and impact.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that's often tied to these ideas of hidden power structures, the role of secret societies in shaping thoughts, shaping culture.
Secret societies, they have a long history of influencing intellectual movements, artistic expressions, philosophical debates.
Oh, really?
From the salons of Europe during the Enlightenment to those mystical circles of the Renaissance, these groups, they often create a space for sharing ideas, exploring alternative worldviews, developing new ways of thinking.
Oh, it's like they create a safe haven for ideas that might be considered controversial.
Exactly, a safe haven. And those ideas, nurtured in secrecy, they can filter out into the world, shaping those artistic movements, political ideologies, even scientific discoveries.
Wow. But how can you trace those ideas? I mean, it's got to be subtle, right?
Yeah.
How do we know when an idea came from a secret society? And how do we know what impact it had?
Well, it often involves piecing together historical evidence, examining the connections between individuals, between groups, looking for patterns of influence. You got to consider the context, the time period, how ideas were shared, the potential for cross-pollination between different groups.
Right, right. It's like being a detective again, following those clues, piecing together the puzzle. And sometimes those pieces might be missing or the connections might be fuzzy.
It's true. But even if we can't always say for sure where an idea came from, we can still look at its impact, how it spread, how it was received, what role it played in shaping those bigger trends.
So while it might be hard to say for sure what specific contributions these secret societies made, their role as incubators of ideas, challengers of conventions, catalysts for change, that's undeniable.
It is. And as we keep exploring this world, it's important to keep that influence in mind, to recognize that their impact goes way beyond their secretive gatherings.
Okay, well, let's move from the world of ideas to the world of action and explore another fascinating aspect of secret societies, their role in social movements,
Yeah.
in political movements. I mean, throughout history, these groups have been involved in a lot of causes, haven't they? Fighting for independence, human rights, promoting social justice, protecting the environment.
They have. Secret societies, they've often played a significant role in shaping social and political change.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They operate in secrecy, right? So they can work outside those traditional power structures. They can provide a platform for dissent, organize resistance, mobilize resources for social movement.
It's like they provide a hidden infrastructure,
Mm.
a network of support for ideas and actions that might be suppressed or marginalized.
Exactly. Think about the Freemasons in the American Revolution.
Okay.
Their ideals, liberty, equality, self-governance, they really resonated with the Founding Fathers and their network of lodges.
Yeah.
It provided a space to discuss those revolutionary ideas, to coordinate action.
Oh, wow.
And groups like the Carbonari in Italy, they
Yeah.
were key players in the Risorgimento, the movement for Italian unification.
So they really were catalysts for change, fostering ideas, mobilizing resources, providing a safe haven for dissent in times of political upheaval.
Absolutely. And it's not just a historical thing. Even today, secret societies are linked to all sorts of causes. Civil rights, environmental protection, animal welfare.
Seriously.
They often operate behind the scenes, providing funding, strategic guidance, a network of influence to support those social changes.
It's incredible. It's like they're a hidden hand pushing for progress in all these different areas of society.
That's a great way to put it. And while their involvement in these movements is often kept quiet, their impact, it can be huge, shaping events, influencing outcomes in ways that people don't even realize.
Yeah, but this involvement can also be controversial, right? Especially when it comes to that whole secrecy versus transparency thing. I mean, some people might say that any group operating in secret, even for a good cause, it raises questions about accountability and the potential for abuse of power.
You're right. Secrecy, it can be problematic when it comes to activism. Transparency and accountability, they're crucial for building trust, making sure that power is used responsibly.
Yeah.
When these groups operate in the shadows, it's hard to figure out their motives, their methods, and the potential consequences of their actions.
So it's a tough balance to strike between protecting members and strategies and being open and honest with the public.
Exactly. It's a challenge that these groups have to navigate very carefully. Too much secrecy, it can breed suspicion, it can undermine their goals, but too much transparency, that can expose them to risks. It can compromise their effectiveness. Finding that balance, it's crucial for achieving lasting change, positive change.
Well, it seems like the world of secret societies, it's a complex tapestry woven from threads of history, philosophy, psychology, social dynamics. And while we may never fully untangle all the threads or solve all the mysteries, the exploration itself, it's rewarding, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
It challenges us to think critically, to broaden our perspectives, to appreciate the nuances of human behavior and how societies work.
It does. The study of secret societies, it's not just about uncovering hidden truths or debunking conspiracy theories. It's about understanding ourselves, understanding human nature, the forces that shape our world, the enduring search for knowledge, for meaning, for belonging. It's a journey of discovery that can lead us to a deeper appreciation of ourselves, our world, and the forces that shape our destiny.
Something that always gets me is this idea of a hidden treasure. Like every time you hear about these secret societies, there's always some talk about a lost fortune.
Yeah, like from the Knights Templar to the Illuminati.
Exactly. It's been captivating people for centuries. Why are we so drawn to that?
I think it's deep down in us, this desire for wealth.
Yeah.
For power, for adventure. The idea that there are these secrets just waiting to be uncovered, riches to be claimed, knowledge to be unlocked. It taps into something primal, our need to explore, to discover.
I get that. It's like that thrill of the hunt, the excitement of the unknown. But are these stories, are they true? Or are they just myths, to keep us entertained.
Well, while some of these groups, they might have had wealth or valuable artifacts, the idea of one, like, all-powerful treasure,
Yeah.
that's probably more fantasy than reality. Think about the Knights Templar.
Okay.
Their sudden collapse, all their assets just disappearing. It fueled centuries of speculation about a hidden fortune.
Right.
But despite all the searching, no one's ever found it.
So no buried treasure chest then. Oh, man. That's a bummer.
Maybe not in the literal sense.
Okay.
But even if the actual treasure is a myth, the search can be a powerful metaphor
Or what?
for our own journeys, our
Yeah.
own pursuit of truth,
I like that.
It's about the challenges we face, the obstacles we overcome, the insights we gain along the way.
Yeah, it's like that saying, right? The real treasure is the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
Okay, well, speaking of journeys, let's dive into one of the most mysterious parts of these groups.
Yeah.
The rituals.
Yeah.
The initiation ceremonies.
Yeah.
What's the deal with those? What can you tell us about these events?
Initiation ceremonies, they're at the heart of a lot of secret societies.
Okay.
They mark a transition, a passage from one state of being to another. And they often involve symbolism, ritualistic actions, a sense of transformation, rebirth, renewal.
So it's like leaving the old you behind.
Yeah.
And stepping into this new identity, almost like walking through a doorway into a hidden world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They create this powerful feeling of belonging, a shared purpose. And they can also be a test of commitment to make sure that only those who are truly dedicated are allowed in.
Gotcha.
Like, think about the Masonic initiation. It's layered,
Yeah.
Full of symbolism,
Yeah.
steeped in tradition.
Yeah. Well, what kind of symbolism are we talking about? What effect does it have on the people going through it?
Well, for example, the use of light and darkness. That's common in a lot of these rituals. It symbolizes that journey from ignorance to enlightenment.
Oh.
And sometimes they use blindfolds to represent that initial state of blindness and then that gradual awakening to
Yeah.
truth and knowledge.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like a symbolic representation of personal growth, of seeking knowledge. And what about those tools and symbols like the Masonic square and compasses? We talked about them earlier, but what role do they play in these ceremonies?
Those tools and symbols, they're powerful reminders of the society's values, their principles, their visual representations of the initiate's commitment to those ideals.
Right.
Like, for the Masons, the square represents morality, and the compass, it represents boundaries. They're tools for living life with integrity and balance.
It's like they're given a map and compass for life, guided by the society's principles. That's a powerful image. So what about the long-term impact on the members after they go through these ceremonies?
It creates a strong sense of community, of shared purpose, the rituals, the symbolism, the oaths of secrecy. All of it works together to build those bonds of loyalty and commitment. It's a way of reinforcing their identity as a group and that sense of belonging.
So these ceremonies, they're not just for show, are they?
No, not at all.
They're carefully crafted. They're meant to transform the people going through them.
Yeah.
To bind them to the group. But let's zoom out for a second. Think bigger picture. What can studying these secret societies teach us about ourselves, about human nature, about the world?
I think secret societies, they give us this unique perspective to look at human behavior. They show us how much we need to belong, to have a purpose, to find meaning. They also show us how we can work together and how we can clash, our drive for knowledge, for power, and our fascination with the unknown.
It's like we're holding up a mirror to society, seeing both the good and the bad, our hopes, our fears, and by studying these groups, we can learn so much about the forces that have shaped us, shaped our history, our culture, the world.
Absolutely. The study of secret societies, it's not just about uncovering secrets or debunking conspiracy theories. It's about exploring what it means to be human, the dynamics of power, the allure of secrecy, and that age-old quest for knowledge and meaning.
And as we've seen in this deep dive, that quest, it can take us down some pretty unexpected paths, revealing hidden connections, challenging our beliefs, and making us face some uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world.
That's the beauty of it. It's a journey that requires curiosity and skepticism, a willingness to embrace the unknown while still thinking critically, looking for evidence.
Well said. All right, well, as we wrap up our exploration of secret societies, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay.
The world is full of mysteries. hidden connections,
Well,
untold stories. And while we might be drawn to the allure of the secret, the hidden, the real treasure, it lies in seeking knowledge, in searching for truth, and in having the courage to face the unknown, both within ourselves and in the world around us.
beautifully put. So keep exploring, keep questioning, keep searching for those hidden truths. You never know what treasures you might find.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the world of secret societies. Until next time, happy exploring.